117 landed tricks, 8 men, 1 winner, 0 whacks. Any type of competitive skateboarding that is ultimately determined by judges leaves a lot of room for debate, scrutiny, and sometimes outright frustration, if not boiling hot anger, which will be discussed in this breakdown. Off the bat, the good news is that this finals did not have any skaters from France. But on the downside, skateboarding's upcoming Japanese prodigy did not make the cut. Almost everything about Paris was an upgrade from Tokyo, including Schekler on commentary, an energetic live audience. Even the fits were much more aesthetically pleasing, and in turn the performances from the skaters themselves were notably more impressive than in Tokyo. Maybe partially due to the fact that the course design in Paris is relatively mellower than Japan's Mount Fuji-sized obstacles. 6 judges were credited, half of them American, including mid-2000s mega hucker Corey Duffel, pro and contest circuit veteran Vanessa Torres, as well as head judge, famously known for wearing the world's most illegal pants captured on tape, Garrett Hill. And the other 3 judges were one Australian social media professional, Amy Massey, France's JB Gillett, and the only obvious choice to round out the international panel, China's own Jun Tian. Milton Martinez's fellow countryman Matias Dell Olio ended up dead last in the finals, being one of the 2 skaters that did not put down at least one perfect sequence of tricks in the line section. Had Matias chose a safer ender for his runs, he might have been able to hunt for a podium finish in the best trick section, but his 2 sub-70 scores in the line section would not put him in contention with the field. However, Del Olio was only one of 2 skaters that could claim a make on the last best trick attempt, scoring an 84.12 on a miraculous rollaway from a big flip front board down the left side 10 rail. Cordano Russell fared even worse than Matias in the run section, only landing a max of 2 tricks in his second run to score the lowest line in the finals, 23.55. Canada's Russell would ironically end up scoring the second most cumulative points in the best trick section, with 3 consecutive scores averaging 93.7, indicating that at only 19 years old, if he loses the cursed OVO logo on his fit and can put together a competitive run, Cordano will be a problem in 2028. The Peacock stream cut to ads during 2 of the 3 Cordano tricks, leaving the fakie tray front board as the only documentable maneuver in that section. Tokyo's runner-up, Kelvin Hoefler, might have been the most screwed judging-wise. He had the second lowest score for any skater with a perfect run, although it wasn't really his run that seemed to score as low compared to his first best trick cab back nose blunt down the right-hand 10 rail, which at 90.14 was the second lowest best trick score in the finals. Kelvin mirrored the cab nose blunt with a cab front blunt down the left-hand 10 rail on attempt number 3, and scored a middle-of-the-pack 92.88, but with his relatively low 87.25 run score and no higher best trick scores, Hoefler ended up 6th. Of all the skaters, Kelvin's score padding strategy seemed the most obvious, securing himself competitive scores early with safe tricks that he's been doing for ages, but the skate gods were not kind to him when he tried to shove or flip into a grind or slide in the big section. Richard Tury, reigning from skateboarding's secret sunny paradise in the landlocked heart of Central Europe, ended up in 5th overall, but tied for second with the highest consistency at 84.21%, landing 16 tricks and only missing 3 for the day. Tury, a relatively new face to the contest realm, put together 2 perfect runs, scoring the second highest average across both at 88.58. Slovakia's Richard landed the first trick of the finals on his first roll-in, a buck-ass heel flip front lip down the left-hand 10 rail, ending his line with a big heel backboard on the right-hand 10 rail. Similar to Cordano, the ads cut out during Tury's second landed trick in attempt number 4, leaving a question mark on what he did to earn a 92.58 that joined his 92.09 from the varial heel back 5-0 down the 10-stair hubba. Richard Tury is what you get when someone like Johnny Geiger switches their focus from YouTube and flat ground and shifts it towards contest skating. The upper half of the rankings in the finals was separated by a mere 3.02 points. At any given time, this top 4 could have shuffled around any which way. Sora ended up 4th, but was so close to landing a nollie big spin, backtail big spin down the 10-stair hubba on his very last best trick attempt. It's very likely he would have at least been runner-up, if not the gold medalist of the finals, if he rolled away from that trick. Sora had the highest average score per trick in the run section, earning a 90.11 across 6 tricks in his first line, and justifiably so, because he's the only skater in the finals that landed 3 tricks in the big section within 45 seconds, starting with the opening back sugarcane down the right-hand 10 rail, a cab backtail down the big hubba, and a frontside 180 switch nose grind by way of the bump to 10-stair hubba to close the run, which in hindsight is a little tragically underscored considering he missed out on a medal by only 1.26 points. Nyjah skated the way you would expect Nyjah to skate at a big contest, establishing an early lead against the field and leading the pack in consistency at 85.71% from landing 18 tricks and only missing 3. Those 3 missed tricks, however, were the 3 that would hold Huston back from responding to Yuto and Jagger, with Nyjah missing a consecutive trio of the final best trick attempts and losing his lead by the 4th attempt. Had Nyjah listened to his comment section on Instagram and wore pants, he might have been able to offset the lack of power that would normally be derived from the monster logo on his trucker hat, but apart from establishing a lead early, Huston had a problem with finishing strong. On the opposite end of the pacing spectrum, American poster boy Jagger Eaton appeared to be a potential write-off after missing a routine kickflip filler trick in his first run. But he shook it off, turned around, and put together a 91.92 second run that would thrust him right back into the hunt for a medal. Eaton's first best trick attempt was a callback to Nyjah's switch heel front tail, scoring 0.01 points higher than Huston after landing a switchback nose blunt down the same left side 10-stair hubba, putting him in second at the time. The second best trick attempt was yet another tit-for-tat between Jagger and Nyjah, with Eaton answering Huston's nollie heel front nose blunt on the left-hand 10 rail in the form of a familiar backside flip nose grind down the right-hand 10 rail, closing the gap between the 2 American scores by only 0.79 points. It's worth mentioning that, unlike in a normal Street League contest, the Olympic finals did not reshuffle the order for the best trick section, meaning Nyjah qualified for the finals behind Jagger, and the order stayed that way throughout the entire finals even though Nyjah had a commanding lead after the runs section, which would normally give Huston a familiar gauge for how to proceed as the best tricks progressed, and might have been a factor that threw him off. Either way, both Jagger and Nyjah lost momentum on trick attempt number 3, but at that time, neither Yuto nor Sora landed a trick, giving Eaton and Huston a brief rest to assess next steps. On attempt number 4, Sora landed an arguably underscored backside 180 alley-oop switch nose grind down the 10-stair hubba, which might seem like a stretch considering the judges gave him a 94.21, the 4th highest score of the day, but as mentioned, Shirai's relatively low-scored, densely packed run prevented the 94 and even the 93.8 cab backtail big spin from overtaking Nyjah's early lead. Jagger, however, came out of nowhere in attempt number 4 and landed what I believe is a new one from Eaton and very close if not entering the same plane of difficulty as Yuto, a nollie front 270 blunt down the 10-stair hubba. Understandably, at the time that was the highest score, 95.25, and gave Eaton a first-place position with only 1 attempt remaining from the field. At this point in the finals, Jagger and Nyjah appeared to be the only 2 sprinting down the final stretch for gold. But we still have to talk about Yuto. Yuto Horigome put together a really good first run, landing 10 tricks, more than any other finalist, but most of those tricks, like Kelvin, were familiar, safe, and translated to an average of 8.99 points per trick, the lowest average of any skater in the run section. But the 4th highest run score of the day, suggesting it does pay off to cram as many reliable tricks as you can on the course in 45 seconds to give you a chance at a podium finish. Yuto put down a nollie back 180 switch nose grind on the 10-stair hubba on the first best trick attempt, scoring a competitive 94.16, keeping him in podium contention, but still trailing Nyjah and Jagger at the time. Apart from Matias and Nyjah, Yuto was the only skater in the best trick section to miss 3 consecutive attempts, and by the time he missed attempt number 4, the top 3 looked out of reach. Yuto rolled up to the right-hand 10 rail on his final attempt, and did the harder version of what Jagger landed 1 attempt earlier due to the blindside nature, perfectly sticking a nollie back 270 blunt slide, correspondingly hardening the nipples of everyone in attendance. Yuto scored a hefty 97.08. Very high, but in order to take the lead from Jagger, that's what the judges needed to award him, and, in my opinion, that was absolutely deserved. Considering the pressure factor alone, not to mention the fact that no one else besides Horigome has ever landed this trick down a 10 rail in a foreign country. Nyjah needed a 94.56 to reclaim the lead from Yuto, but got hung up on the right 10 stair hubba and appeared to be consulting Jagger to wax the hubba afterwards, with Eaton needing an even more attainable 93.97 to take back his short-lived first place position from Yuto. An official on the course signaled Jagger to stop waxing the course, perhaps because it could have been deemed as an unfair advantage, giving him more time to prepare for his turn, but Eaton was still able to get some wax on both his nose and the hubba. Fulfilling his contractual duties by taking a last-second look at his Samsung phone to press play on the new Deshaun Jordan song, Jagger did not roll away from a kickflip back nose blunt, which was probably the wisest trick choice in the moment. Apart from Sora getting overlooked in the run section and some slight underscoring on Kelvin, the judges did their job putting Yuto in first and Jagger in second. Had the Olympics recognized skateboarding in 2016, Nyjah probably would have a gold medal now, but in today's world, a relatively younger Yuto has that unique trifecta of skating religiously since birth, extraordinary talent, and perhaps the rarest of all, mental fortitude that allows you to hone in on achieving success when most people would crumble under the pressure. Another detail that further justifies Yuto's first place finish is that he's the only skater in the finals to land a trick on the big center rail.
You wish you wanna be me. I know you wanna be me, but you can't. Shitty.